Amira, because of your visibility and advocacy work as a Muslim woman, you're on the receiving end of a lot of challenging questions. But you remain so calm and poised even in the face of what often seems pretty hostile and ugly. How do you manage that?
Well, I always think of my opportunity to speak to people as a chance to address some of the misconceptions that people may have or stereotypes around Muslims generally, and then of course specifically Muslim women. Also, I feel an immense responsibility as having grown up in Canada, really loving this country very much, really appreciating everyone that helped sort of make my journey very positive, to speak positively about those experiences, and to sort of try my best to demonstrate that when we embrace one another, when we embrace each other, that we actually come out much stronger as a nation, and this is something that really matters a lot to me.
You've provided me with examples of questions that you get asked often, so we're going to role play now with me posing as the interviewer and you, who in fact wants to put you on the hot seat, and you responding as you do so well. So many people see the niqab as a powerful symbol of misogyny, an attempt to erase women. How can you defend that?
So I would never defend misogyny or patriarchy for a minute. However, what I will say is that every woman should have the choice to decide how she lives her life, how she dresses in the morning. And so when a woman decides to wear a face veil, that is her right. And thankfully we live in a democracy like Canada with cherished Shari rights and freedoms. And there can be no second-tier citizenship. We have to afford the same rights and freedoms for every single individual. That's what I would say, and that's why I believe that those who want to wear a face veil have every right to, but no one should ever be forced to.
But why, Canadians struggle with this. Why should Canadians accept a cultural practice that is so contrary to our values?
So I understand why Canadians may look at the face veil and feel uncomfortable. I can completely understand that because it's something that is unknown, it's unusual to our country. But that being said, I think that what is very known and very valuable in our country is that we share human rights values, that we share a feeling of equality and tolerance and multiculturalism. And this is what has made our country so strong and robust and diverse. And I think that this is a challenge for sure, but it is a challenge in the sense of how do we ensure that we keep living the life that we say that we want to, which is one of tolerance and acceptance and cohesion.
And how do you feel about the face veil yourself?
I respect a woman's right to wear what she wants. I mean, I think that as women we have opinions about each other's wardrobes every single day, but I certainly don't go around giving everyone my peace of mind. I think that I just learned to, look at women and value their decisions and support them on their journey.
Are you on the receiving end of questions or challenges yourself for wearing the headscarf?
For sure. I mean, absolutely. After 9/11 in particular, I had only been wearing the headscarf for a couple of years, and it was very difficult, specifically around that time. And since then, every time there's any type of terrorist act that is done, in the name of our faith, certainly there's more hostility on the streets. People will look at me. Sometimes people will spit at me. Sometimes people will yell. A couple occasions I've had people in their cars drive very, very fast, very, very close to me as though they're going to hit me. So those are very frightening moments, but they're certainly not emblematic of Canada, and they're not emblematic of the people that I know in my communities and my neighborhoods. So I don't let those few haters change my feeling about belonging to this country, because I grew up here, I contribute to it, and I want my children to do the same.
When immigrants choose to leave their birth countries to move to Canada, don't they have a responsibility really to integrate? And why should we be asked to accommodate minorities in maintaining religious practices that are so foreign to our own?
Well, I think we have to always remember that Canada is actually an Indigenous land, first and foremost, right? So unless you're Indigenous, you're an immigrant to this country. And certainly I would assume that when people came with different other faiths, similarly, there were tensions. And actually, if you look throughout history, when different types of Christians would come, there was already conflict there. You have Jewish communities coming. You've had various waves of immigrants and various waves of intolerance. So the intolerance that Muslims are currently experiencing is nothing new in that spectrum. So that being said, I think that now in 2018, I hope that we have had some maturity around these issues and that we aren't going to react in the xenophobic, racist ways of the past, that we are understanding that we're all part of a human family, and that just like any family, we're going to agree and disagree, but at the end of the day, we have to respect one another.
What do you say to those who believe that diversity has diluted Canadian identity?
Well, I think that it's very important to understand that Canadian identity is about multiculturalism. It's about embracing our diversity. It's about recognizing, again, our presence on Indigenous lands and the diverse cultures that were here even before immigration from Europe. So I think that Canada is very, very fortunate to actually be a place where people can express themselves as they wish. If you look to other nations that are struggling to cope with different immigrant communities, you'll actually find that people who are held back because they're not accepted for who they are will be able to contribute less and less to the economy, to the benefit of the society. So we actually hurt ourselves by not being accepting.
Finally, many people think political correctness has gone too far. People are no longer able to say what they really think, and so problematic ideas go underground. Doesn't a healthy democracy need us to be able to challenge ideas in the public space?
I absolutely think that we have to have a free exchange of ideas, but where those ideas have to be checked is when they lead into hate and the promotion of hate. So it's very, very important that as we find our way, as we go forward, as we accept new immigrants, as we know that there are forces outside of Canada that are, sort of looking for hateful rhetoric and turning people against one another, I think we have to chart our own way, which definitely accepts that in a democracy we want freedom to say what we want, but within limits, that there is no absolute freedoms, and that we have to be very conscious of how our speech can embolden those who hate and want to hate out of ignorance or fear, and who actually want to do harms to communities.
Thank you very much. I'm so struck being on this side of the camera with your clear experience and facility in moving from a hostile question to a positive image, which you talked about a minute ago, of the desire to replace the negative stereotypes with alternative visions and appreciations. And so by reminding us all, for example, that we're all immigrants, and that unless we're Indigenous Canadians or Indigenous people who were, on the land for centuries, we're all immigrants, and we too have been tolerated and integrated and accepted, and I really appreciate the message that you're delivering. Thank you so much.